Thanks for checking out another episode of Vinyl Village Garage. This time around, we're actually not working in the garage. It's more of a field call. We got the perfect field repair vehicle here too. What I'm here to do is check out an old H series tractor a friend of my dad acquired here recently. Bought it from his neighbor, drug it to his yard, and wanted to know if I could get the thing to run. Well, it's still just a 4-stroke engine, so it's like squeeze, bang, blow. They taught us in shop class, and I've never forgotten that. So they all work on that same idea. So essentially, we should be able to make this thing go. I've never touched one of these before, so it's a bit of a learning experience. So I thought I'd drag you along and see what we get into. So let's check it out. All right, well, let's go take a look at this here. It's got underneath a nice roof for me because the sun, well, it's kind of early, but it's gonna get pretty hot today potentially. So being in the shades is gonna be kind of nice. That's clever. The engine itself does turn over. Tom did replace the starter. We talked it through and discovered it was shorted out, so he did get that part done for me, but it just won't light, won't pop, won't bang, won't do anything. So at this point, we're missing one of those 4 important steps, or maybe 2 of them, to get this thing to run. But looks pretty complete. Now again, like I said, I don't know much about tractors, so this is going to be a educational learning experience for me even, and see what we can figure out. Well, anyway, here's the battery hooked up. And I think we'll call this one the Farmall field call. So far, of course, it appears to make this thing go. We have an ignition on. No idea what that one does. If someone out there knows, they can let me know. That's a choke. And here's the old start button. Yeah, crank but no go. Now, it appears we have a fuel bowl here and an on-off valve. Turn it on, and the gas looks kind of crummy in there. I'll have to take that out and clean that out, but we're just getting a couple little drips. Get the light here. You can't see it in the camera, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that, but the tank is really very rusty in the bottom and kind of scaly. There's about 1.5 inches of fuel in there, but it won't feed through because I think there's too much rust piling up on the inlet for the fuel. So we're gonna have to get in there and clean that out somehow. We've discovered the fuel tank is less than stellar on the inside. A lot of rust, a little bit of scale on the inside. The tank's not rusted through, but it's gonna need a serious cleaning at some point to make this thing work for long term. Or maybe another solution might be just add a little standpipe in the bottom of that fuel separator and see if we can keep it above the scale level. So that may be the solution we're gonna maybe work out for this one to get it going for now, and see if we get this thing to run and operate before we get too carried away. So that's the item number 1 we're gonna have to address: the fuel system, fuel delivery from the tank. Maybe come up with a solution for that. And then I'm gonna look in the ignition here next and see what's going on with that and see if we can get that to work. This distributor is not overly complicated. They've got an ignition switch back here, sends power up to the coil, goes through the coil into the distributor to the points. When those contacts open, that's what creates the spark. So I'm gonna check, make sure I have voltage through the points, and see if it's the potential to actually operate. Now I've done that, put your meter on the ground, which is positive, of course. Turn ignition on, and I should have battery voltage here to this side of the coil, 6.38. So, well, that's good. Across the coil, 6.38. So no voltage drop, potential to run. And same thing here. Check inside the distributor at points, because at this point that tells me points are either open or not working. And same result, 6.38 all the way to the contact points, but not across the contacts. Get you a close-up what I'm actually doing here. Let's talk about when the power comes into the distributor. This is out of the coil. Good contact, 6.38 volts, great. Now it comes into the distributor here, same thing, 6.38. I'll go through the point contact here to here, still have 6.38. Now the interesting part is these contacts are actually physically closed, but clearly not making any kind of contact because they have no voltage drop. So I've got some either really dirty points or contact issues here. That should drop voltage. I should even get a little bit of a spark from this. So either the other side of the, well, I guess I could check this. Do I have 6.38 volts on this side of the contacts? Nope. Here? Yep. And then no. I have a voltage issue here across the contact points. Right now, they should be closed and have a bit of a voltage drop. So I think we got some bad contact points. I'm gonna try to file on them, see what it does. Well, I filed on the points a little bit, but not much better result. I can't get a good contact no matter what I do. Every once in a while, if I push on a little bit, I get a little arc, but no voltage drop across the contact. So I think the next thing we're gonna need is a good set of points, replace the condenser. I'm gonna roll some spark plugs out of this thing and read on a plug, but they look actually relatively new. Probably not much wrong with those. But let's check them out anyway. Wrong side socket. That's a whole lot bigger. Almost failed that one. It's a 7/8 socket for these old spark plugs. I'm used to the automotive old 5/8 or 13/16, so I almost failed. The Boy Scout model always come prepared, but fortunately Tom had a deep well 7/8, so we're back at it. I'll say, nice thing about being a tractor is all this stuff's right out here in the open. Not too bad to work on. Well, it's actually pretty clean for the most part. It's not soaked with gas or soaked with oil. You can see it was burning a little bit, so I don't think these plugs have a whole lot of time on them. But I may just go ahead and replace them to help make this thing light up and go a little quicker for us. And of course, all this crazy stuff that I do, I've been tinkering on this stuff since I was probably 15 years old. Dad had me in the garage, typical story. They have you out there playing and learning. Or I remember even one time I had a Volkswagen Bug, mid-60s, somewhere around there. I don't know the year, but he's in the garage brazing in floor pans with my brother. Of course, I wanted to see what was going on, but he didn't have any more welding masks, so I didn't get to see it. But I still have memories of him doing that, and things like that probably, you know, ignited or sparked the curiosity or the desire to want to do stuff like this. So, of course, now I plan to do the same thing, share those opportunities and things with my children, have a little fun, build some memories, and then, of course, put it on YouTube. Maybe you guys can learn a little something or experience something here, too. Now, this plug, yeah, it looks about the same as that one. Not bad, not oil soaked, not fuel fouled. So I don't think it remains your mechanical issue. Just need to get a good spark, get the crank over, and get some fuel to it. Well, so far we've diagnosed a cruddy fuel system. We're going to need some kind of repair there. The ignition's not working right. We have potential to work, but I've tried to clean up those points and just not getting a good contact, so not a consistent spark. So it's not going to light that way. The only thing left in the equation before I get out of here today is maybe take a quick look at this old carburetor, make sure it has the potential to at least operate. Then maybe make a parts list and come back and get this thing going. You know, this carburetor, pretty archaic. I don't think it's overly complicated. And consider this, the intake comes in here, goes up into the engine. So this is an updraft carburetor. It's fed by the fuel ball we just looked at earlier. Gravity feeds, so no fuel pump to worry about. That's the choke linkage, it moves. Now again, I'm gonna show my bit of ignorance when it comes to tractors, but this must have some way of governing the speed and operating the throttle plate. So, no idea what that does. That was something about an adjustment, I'm sure. Probably a video up there. I might have to do some homework. Probably an idle mixture screw is going to be my guess at this level. And this appears just to be a drain. And the good news is it's not full of water or anything. But, okay, well, I guess there's not much to check on this carburetor. I'm kind of thinking maybe leave it well enough alone and get some fuel feeding to it first, and then see what happens. Well, I say the next step is get some parts. So we're gonna hit the pause button here momentarily, go run to get in place or get some parts ordered up, see if we can get this thing going. I'm gonna need some ignition components, something to do is doctor up the fuel system, maybe a can of carb clean or something like that, and see if we get this thing to go. So, and I'm gonna pick up a helper on the way through that I'm pretty sure she's gonna help this thing out and get this thing running a whole lot quicker than I can.